Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you guys like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So if you thought Democrats couldn't get any more delusional about their Senate chances, you're proven dead wrong. You're proven very wrong. And it's like they just can't understand things that if you're like just starting to learn electoral politics, it should be very apparent to you that things just can't happen like this. And it's like 8-year-old logic, the logic of an 8-year-old, when it comes down to how they're analyzing who can win what race. And the wish casting is off the charts. It's unreal. Kentucky voted for Donald Trump by 31 points. That hasn't stopped Democrats from being utterly delusional about their Senate chances. You have a governor of Kentucky who's a Democrat because his father was a popular, moderate Democrat. His son pretends to be a moderate Democrat, similar to the Bob Casey situation in Pennsylvania. That didn't work out too well in the end for him. As we saw last fall, he just couldn't accept his loss until it was too late. But that's besides the point. Bottom line is, when it comes down to somebody like Andy Beshear, he's the governor of Kentucky. Democrats want him to run for Senate just to be delusional about his chances to win. They're saying, okay, I know that we want you to run for president, which again would be a total joke. The guy is bland. He's a Nepo baby. I don't know why people push him. Oh, but we want a state that doesn't vote Democrat. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He would lose Kentucky by like 25 to 30 points in a general election if he ran for president. I don't even know if he would overperform by a whole lot. I really don't. This like, oh, you won a governor's race. Congratulations. You want a cookie? I mean, that's a very, very different ballgame than a federal race. That's one of the first rules you learn in politics, but Democrats can't grasp that. Kentucky is not a state that is a Democrat state at the federal level, and it's not really at the state level. He won on a fluke in 2019 because Matt Bevin had popularity that resembled 2009 George W. Bush. Kentucky's a state that voted for Trump by 31 points. And when it comes down to, oh, but he won in 2023, he won in 2023 because he was the incumbent governor and because he doesn't do anything. He just sits there. The Republican state legislature runs the government, and Republicans have not properly attacked Beshear in the state when it comes down to the state level in ways that probably could have given them a leg up. Beshear is not somebody who's capable of winning a federal race in Kentucky. I don't think anybody is. You know, the last time you saw a race in a state that was like lopsided, that was like 30 points in a federal race, the 2017 Alabama Senate race. But again, Roy Moore was like created in a lab to be the worst possible candidate. And the victor of that Senate race ended up getting like less raw votes than Hillary Clinton got the previous year. It was just so low turnout, and Democrats were at like full turnout because of how awful Roy Moore was, and Republicans didn't want to show up out of embarrassment. That's why Alabama went the way that it did. Kentucky in a midterm environment is not going to have that. And if Roy Moore was the nominee in Alabama in a midterm environment, he still wins by like probably around 10. So again, it's not even the same thing. And Republicans aren't going to run Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell is somebody who, you know, if anything, maybe that race would be close. Maybe it'd be like a 10-point race between Beshear and McConnell because that's how hated Mitch McConnell is in Kentucky. But Mitch McConnell's retiring. And if you want to look at actual comparable examples to a Beshear versus either a Nate Morris, hopefully not Andy Barr or Dan Cameron. They're weaker. They're more McConnell-like acolytes, and we could talk about that primary as we get closer too. But any Republican against Andy Beshear is going to win with ease. And when it comes down to past Senate races, 2024, we have an example, and it was a Republican who fell short. I said that any Republican who thought Larry Hogan was going to win was delusional. I don't care what the early polls said. You could put a poll out that shows Beshear ahead, but here's the deal. There's so many races that this happens in. You look at the polling, and it's like, okay, well, Larry Hogan was winning the early polls. He was at 50. When he gets attacked and you take the race nationally, it doesn't stick. Yes, he outran he outran Donald Trump against Kamala Harris. We understand that that's going to happen. He still lost by 11 to 12 points. And we have an example from 2020 as well. 2020, we have an example. Former popular governor. He actually won on the same ballot that Donald Trump won the state by 20 points on a few years prior. Steve Bullock. Steve Bullock fell short to Steve Daines by 10 points, and Democrats put a lot of money in that race. And Daines only underran Trump by like 6 points in that environment. So do you think that you're going to see Andy Beshear go out there and win? No. And it's a midterm year. Okay, let's look at the last midterm election. A similar state, similarly red state. You talk about Kentucky. Tennessee is also a Republican plus 30. And Phil Bredesen, he was really popular. I mean, Andy Beshear barely wins his governor's races. I think he won his re-election bid by like 5, and that was a big deal. Bredesen was like winning every county. But again, when you see later on, technically this was 8 years later or 7 years after he left office, but he still was very popular. He lost to Marsha Blackburn in a bad year for Republicans by 11 points. Remember, they try to make a big deal out of it. He's a moderate. He has the Taylor Swift endorsement. That was like the big thing back then people would talk about. And then his like numbers actually had like a free fall after that. It just shows that celebrity endorsements mean nothing in the grand scheme of things. But Blackburn went out there and won by 10 to 11 points, and Democrats poured a ton of money into the race and failed miserably. They failed miserably. In 2012, we have an example from Hawaii, and there's so many more, guys. There's so many more, but Linda Lingle was a popular governor. She lost to Mazie Hirono, who has the IQ of a walnut, by 25 percentage points in 2012. Obama won the state by more than Hirono did. That's true. But at the end of the day, you kind of get the main point. If you're a popular governor, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that you're going to win the Senate race. Maybe you overperform by a few points here and there, but you can't really find an example of this being the case. And the same thing goes for North Carolina to a much lesser extent. Bottom line is because Roy Cooper won by an average of, 2.5 points, not even, like it was more close to 2 points, when he was running for governor, does not mean that he's going to win the Senate race against somebody like a Mike Whatley who's going to be well-funded. He's not. I mean, he could win, but this notion that he's guaranteed to win is ridiculous. I think a toss-up is fair, but I think that more times than not, if you run that simulation, Roy Cooper is going to lose narrowly. But when it comes to Andy Beshear, I don't think that there's any situation where Andy Beshear wins. And maybe they're realizing something else. Maybe they want to clear the 2028 field. Maybe they understand Gavin Newsom, he's getting a lot of buzz now. They want to run Gavin Newsom for president, and they want the other contenders to stand down where possible. Obviously, there's going to be a primary. Obviously, he's going to have challengers. But I think that they realize the less challengers he's going to have, the better it is overall. And I don't even know if Newsom is really going to be that strong of a candidate. I've said it for a while. If cost of living really is still a big issue, do you really want to put up the governor of California? That's the thing. This guy has ran a state that has not done too well. He's run it into the ground on many fronts. People are fleeing the state in high numbers to Arizona, Nevada, other swing states. He's made other swing states redder. Gavin Newsom is partially why Donald Trump won Nevada and Arizona, and maybe to a lesser extent North Carolina. It's not the only reason, of course, but he contributed because of how many people left his state, especially conservatives have left his state, and in the same time frame, his state has gotten 10 points redder. It's funny. Andy Beshear, on the other hand, this is a guy who was able to coast by because of how popular his dad was. Half the state probably thinks his father is him. But when you're actually attacked in a federal race, people understand it's a different dynamic. In fact, the governor's races are going to have lower turnout anyways because they're on off years. They're on odd number years. That's easier for the party out of power to capitalize on it. But if it's a midterm environment or a presidential environment, I don't even think that you would have ever had a governor, Andy Beshear, despite how unpopular somebody like a Matt Bevin was. If that election was concurrent with Trump in 2020, I do think that it would have been close, but I still think Matt Bevin finds a way to pull it off, because if you tie yourself to Trump, it's going to be effective when Trump is on the top of the ticket, more so than if he's not on the top of the ticket. So regardless, Democrats will try. They will try and they will fall short. It's like running Steve Bullock in Montana again. And even Sherrod Brown, he was in the Senate, but he's lost. And when you're not the incumbent, you do lose that advantage. And he's going for the Senate seat again. He's going to lose. He's going to lose possibly by upper single digits, even though it's a midterm year with a Republican president in the White House. So keep on coping, Democrats. Please run these people. Please give these people so much money. It's going to make Michigan, North Carolina, Georgia, New Hampshire, Maine, you name it, a hell of a lot easier than it currently is right now. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Red Eagle out.